Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Please rise for the procession of professors. Good afternoon. Before we start, I would like to remind everyone to turn off their mobile phones, please. Honored guests, visitors from far and near, colleagues, and our dear students, welcome to the 2017 IHE Delft closing ceremony here in the beautiful old church. I would also like to welcome visitors from around the world who are watching us today via live stream. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Gina Forno, and I work in the Student Affairs Office at IHE Delft. I am very honored to be your Master of Ceremonies today, and a little nervous. I would like to thank Martin Siebel and Donna Roelfink for the beautiful music played during the procession. Let's give them a round of applause. My dear graduates, how are you feeling today? Happy? Maybe a little sad too? Many emotions all at once, I suspect. Let's take a trip down memory lane. Think back to your arrival in Delft 18 months ago, getting adjusted to life in the Netherlands and your coursework at the Institute. The lectures, exams, assignments, the field trips, the social evenings and the parties at Mina. Maybe some traveling, adventures with your Dutch friend, and more recently your thesis work and defense. I would like to take a short survey among our graduates. Think of it as your last assignment, but it will be very easy. Okay? Will you play along? Listen carefully. Please raise your hand if the following statements apply to you. I have about 20 statements. Here we go. In the beginning, I got lost a lot. At the airport, in Delft, at IHE. Who got lost? Yeah. While here, I have seen snow or ice for the first time. I have fallen off my bike. More than once? Who fell off more than once? Yeah. I can say a few words in Dutch. Mm-hmm. I locked myself out of my room and had to sleep somewhere else. Yeah. I have learned to eat French fries with mayonnaise, raw herring, croquettes, capsalon. Yeah. Yeah. Getting my master's degree was harder than I thought it would be. Yeah. I have learned a lot about myself. I have learned to ask questions. Yeah. I got a 9 or a 10 on an exam or an assignment or on my thesis. I have become more open-minded from working with people all over the world. I like that. Yeah. Today I'm worried about tripping when I walk up to the stage to get my diploma. I saw some high heels. Before I leave, I promise to pay all my bills and throw away all my trash. I'm not going to miss my student accommodation. No. I hope to return to Delft someday. I promise to stay in touch with the alumni office. Yeah, very good. Where's Maria? I'm going to have reverse culture shock when I get home. Maybe. And the last one, I'm taking home so much more than I came here with. And I don't mean just what's in your suitcase and boxes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you all for your participation and your honesty. It's been a pleasure working with you and watching you succeed, and we are very proud of you. You've learned about water. You've learned about yourselves, and now it's time to go home. You are on the crest of your wave, ready to surf right into the next phase of your lives. We wish you all the best. Now I would like to invite to the stage Dr. Fritz Holzwarth, IHE Delft's Rector ad interim, to give his words of welcome. Dr. Holzwarth.
Welcome to a beautiful day, and I think to a very exciting day for you, even if all the pressure and all the problems you had are away. It is an interesting coincidence that we celebrated yesterday the 60th anniversary of this institute. And it is also interesting that we put the theme on top, the impact of IHE Delft in a changing landscape. And I think it's really more than logic that we celebrate today the awarding ceremony for the new Masters of Science, because you are becoming the ambassadors for the impact of this institute. And I think this is important and a really great bridge from yesterday to today. I know a lot of people are looking and following us through web stream, but I would like to welcome all the excellencies, the members of the diplomatic corps, the Lady Mayor from the city of Delft, the representatives from the Dutch government, from the ministries. I very much like to say a warm welcome to Professor Jeanette Hering from Switzerland, our honorary fellow, which will be awarded today with the diploma. Professors of UNESCO IHE and several partners university, colleagues, friends, ladies and gentlemen. The batch 2015-2017 today is convening in this old church 102 participants from 43 countries. And as Gina said before, if you look back to October 2015, a lot changed in the meantime. And I think probably in October 2015, it was not, if I remember correctly, it was not as cold as it is today. So this is also what you learn, that even in spring you have cold days. I think that it is important that you are now starting with the knowledge you acquired into new responsibilities, into a new water world. On your return home, a lot of expectations are on your shoulder. You are expected to serve the community for human and societal development and justice, to implement the human rights to water, to contribute to the implementation of SDG 6, the Water Sustainable Development Goal, where it is always important not to stop with access to safe drinking water. You always have to see that safe drinking water and sanitation are two sides of the same coin, and you should never separate it in your practical life. Furthermore, you not only represent the pulse of the present, you are the future for a better water management. You are the future of innovation and looking forward. It does not mean that you neglect what our forefathers in water management developed. But it is now your responsibility to open up new pages in the Water Wisdom book. I want to remind you, to remember why you really are and why you came to UNESCO IHE or IHE Delft. Water needs passion. Water, it is not sufficient to work on water if you are simply a technician or an engineer. Passion is needed. And I very much wish you that the passion will be the driving force for your future professional life. And I would like to add, if your professional future is not based on love of your work or a desire to make a difference, it can become easily a recipe for unhappiness. So I think this is always important to be aware of. And I would like to put it in a quote from Steve Jobs. He said, "Most important is to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary." I think you gained a lot through your 18 months in Delft. And this is a reason for me to say a warm thank you to an important initiative in this city. And Lady Mayor, you can really be proud of that. This is the initiative Meet the Dutch. And I would like to thank from this place very much all the families in Delft. They provided you a warm Dutch welcome and friendship and support throughout your stay in Delft. This city can be really proud of its welkomstcultuur, and this in a not easy landscape we are living in. Now I can say, dear colleagues, because that's what you are from now on. Soon you will be given your Masters of Science degree. You did a lot. And I think the important thing as a result from your study is you made it, and that you use this unique experience connecting with people from countries around the world in the best spirit of the United Nations. I think this also helps to see clearly that water connects and does not divide. Water is a catalyst for cooperation and not permanent a source of conflict. And I think it is important, before we continue with this ceremony, that I thank very much all staff in the Institute, because I think it's always important to recognize that teaching staff are also, with each and every batch, challenged to do the lectures, to do the workshops, to do the supervision of your master thesis. And I think all the lecturers and the professors, we should devote an applause. But we would not be here if there would be not a lot of invisible hands behind the scene. It's students' affairs, it's support staff. And I would like to explicitly mention today what we call the planning office in the Institute. Because I tell you a kind of secret which is now no longer a problem. We really struggled the last weeks, day and night, to be able to print your diploma and to print the supplements to the diploma, thanks to the really hard work of the colleagues in the planning department. I would like to take also this opportunity to thank the Dutch government for a generous and loyal and constructive support of the work of the Institute. And I think this is also something what I would like to mention, because very often we take it for granted that we get scholarships from governments and that we get scholarships from a lot of partners we have as an institute. And I think it's not for granted, it's necessary to work always hard that we can keep it and enrich it. From today on, you're part of the alumni community of UNESCO IHE/IHE Delft. A network of 15,000 colleagues of water professionals around the world. And you're also part of the larger UNESCO water family. I think also this is important to mention. Finally, your diploma is a mile marker. It's a measurement of how far you have come. But it does not say a thing about how far you can go. This is your own responsibility. This is a challenge you have to respond to. Your diploma is a calling to use the talents you have nurtured and the knowledge you have gained here to make a contribution, to make a difference on the ground, and to make an impact. Class is over. Learning isn't. Your diploma is a key to open doors of possibilities, not only yourselves but also for others. So let me say warm-hearted congratulations, class 2015 to 2017. Now it's my honor and my pleasure to introduce to you this year's graduation speaker. He is not a water engineer. He is a lawyer by profession. But there is a common element between you and him and us and him, and this is that he has an enormous passion for water. And this passion for water he translated in unbelievable pictures from all over the world, from Africa, from Southeast Asia, and from other places. And Jill, I would like to say a warm welcome, and the floor is yours.
Okay, you who are the people who earned your master's degrees, stand up. That's impressive right there. I'm impressed. Okay, now as you stand there, I want you to think of all the people in your life who made you coming here possible. Think broadly. Don't just think of, your closest friend. Think of your family. Think of maybe others that you met only one time, but that person really made a mark on you. Think about the Dutch families right here in Delft who made a difference. I'm going to ask you to shout out 2 words. But I want those words to be heard in Asia and Africa, Europe and the Americas too. Okay, I'll count to 3. The words are simple. Thank you. But I want you to shout them out. So on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. All right. That's cool. Excellent. All right. Now take that energy that you just showed us, ball it up a little bit. Let me talk with you a little bit. Please have a seat. You might understand that your time here at IHE has changed your life forever. For some of you, you may realize that later. And for all of you, you will truly appreciate and understand it sometime later in life. But don't forget, you're going to be working as a professional. And you are going to be affecting the lives of many people in your own home country. And you may be saving some lives. That's a very heavy responsibility. Remember that. What you might do professionally depends on you and what is available at home. Permit me to take just a few minutes to focus on your professional lives. Lives, as I said, that are about to take off. When I was the Los Angeles County District Attorney, I often gave career advice to law school graduates as well as practicing lawyers. Since leaving the office, I'm still called on to give career advice, again, to law school graduates and practicing lawyers, but also now people who are interested in photography, career change, and even a little advice on the television and motion picture industry that I'm a little involved in. I, however, have no professional experience in any of the fields that you're going into. But I've just completed a photo project for IHE that I think what I learned would be helpful to you as you move forward. I will focus particularly on 2 IHE graduates from Kenya. But I could have easily focused on any of the 14 IHE alumni that I met during this 4-month assignment. IHE asked me to interview, photograph 12 IHE alumni to basically tell their story about how they, each one of them, is using their IHE degree in their home countries. In Colombia, I met and spent time with 3 IHE alumni, an environmentalist working for the government who is focused on preserving the environment for the people of her country. Another IHE alumnus is an entrepreneur who is working with a partner in the poorest region of Colombia. They are working together there to try and bring safe water to the people of this region. And another entrepreneur first worked for the government, then he started his own company. His focus was protecting farms, protecting villages and the residents from almost the annual disastrous floods that come through their towns. He also designs a water reclamation process for very large commercial rose farms. In Bangladesh, the 5 IHE alumni whom I met included very high-level government officials working in various water-related programs. Civil engineers, an environmentalist, a hydrologist, and a land and water management expert. If you are from Bangladesh and you have an opportunity to work for the government in any of these water-related fields or an NGO, grab it. Grab it, because the people that I met were so accomplished, so professional, so dedicated, so focused. And I saw how much respect they had, especially because they had their IHE degree. That really did make a difference. In Kenya, there were more marvelous and accomplished IHE alumni. One is a university professor and now the Dean of Faculty of Science. He earned his PhD right here at IHE in wetlands management. Another is a young alumni working for a Swedish nonprofit. He has an incredibly challenging job. The nonprofit gave him the responsibility of heading the contract that they have with the country of Rwanda. His job? Forecast the water needs for Rwanda for the next 25 years. Whoa. I don't know about you, but I was very impressed with that. Man, that is quite an undertaking. Very challenging, very difficult, and so important because the farms alone in Rwanda rely almost exclusively on the rivers that start in another country and end in another country. You can imagine the political ramifications that it involves. Then there was a PhD chemical engineer, alumnus, and friend who is an especially daring, charming, and focused entrepreneur. She works on water reclamation projects. Now, as I said, each of these alumni that I just mentioned is worthy of being singled out and telling their stories. But I will focus on a husband-wife team in Kenya. Hope Wanaki and Kevin Muturi. Their story, like each of the ones that I could tell, are very inspirational. Well, let's go to Hope and to Kevin. After graduating from Egerton University in Kenya, even though they were graduating with top honors, they could not find a job. They tried, they looked, they couldn't find a job. They were very disappointed and I think also a little depressed. But then they kind of got it together and started talking. They were from a city in the Rift Valley in Kenya. They started talking about, well, how do we leverage our education so that we can look at the needs in our own city? They started looking and they realized that the biggest environmental issue in the Rift Valley was managing solid waste. So they developed a plan to attack the problem they created, a community-based enterprise, Traced Kenya, it's called. They reached out to businesses for help. One business was so impressed with their business plan and both with Kevin and with Hope that this company donated a mini truck, tractor, and trailer so that they could go out and collect the solid waste to take it to the dumps. And then the local government got involved. They awarded them a contract for picking up the solid waste and taking it to the dump site. Man, they were on their way. They were feeling good about it. Though they saw that their business was being successful, both Kevin and Hope felt we need more education. They found IHE. They applied to IHE. They were accepted. They got scholarships. Hope's scholarship was sponsored by the Austrian Development Corporation and Kevin's by NUFIC. After they earned their degrees from IHE, they returned to the waste collection business in Kenya. They already knew that the dump sites were straining with volume from discarded plastic and glass. So they started looking at it. What can we do with this plastic and waste? How can we turn it into useful products and maybe we can produce the products and sell them? It helped tremendously when Hope won a scholarship to Yale University for an intensive 2-month course. It was there that she received the advice and guidance about how to build materials from discarded plastic and glass. While Kevin had been at IHE, he won a prize that he ultimately leveraged into a seed grant. Now get this, seed grant of 200,000 euros. Happened right here. That's what he did. And then what did they do next? You're of the electronic age. They went to Kickstart. And they developed there, and it was hugely successful with Kickstart. So they took all this money that they had, they bought the equipment necessary for the factory. That's what they did. I've been there. That factory's up and running. It was a kick to be there. You can see how proud they are. And they deserve to be proud. But doesn't IHE, everyone here with the caps and gowns on, they should also be proud because I think but for IHE, they wouldn't have quite the success that they have had. But it goes deeper than that. Through Kevin and Hope's efforts, the people in Gilgil, they will have cleaner air. Their water will be protected. And how did they do this? Well, it was more than simply their intelligence and their academic accomplishments. They were able to persevere. They had passion. They had purpose. And they believed in themselves. And they believed in their product. Sure, they got knocked down. But they got up. And that's a secret in life. Each of you are going to get knocked down. Get up. And you'll find people who respect the fact that you were knocked down and you got up. And it may happen more than once. So I already told you that I could have talked about any of the 14 that I met. One common thread came through all of them. Each one had a mentor or someone who helped guide them. Now, I guarantee this. I'll make you one promise. The one promise is that before long, it could come sooner than you expect. There's going to be a young man or woman who is going to come to you asking for your guidance, for your advice. And you're going to give it. Because that's who you are. But you also know you had a unique privilege, and that privilege was coming right here to this institution, IHE, and earning, I underline the word earned your master's degree. And you'll feel good about helping them. I could almost stop there, but you know I'm not going to. Like many of you, I grew up in a relatively poor family. I'm going to share a couple personal stories with you that I rarely share, but I think that maybe in a year or in 20 years, you might remember something and maybe it will be helpful. I was the first in my family to go to college and graduate from law school. I joined the prosecutor's office, a very large office, because I wanted to have the authority and responsibility to protect the innocent as well as hold the guilty accountable. When I was 35 years of age, I'd been in the office for about 7 years, I was promoted to a position in charge of a group of lawyers, prosecutors, and investigators who had the sole responsibility of investigating and prosecuting public officials, including police officers and elected officials. It was a very, very heavy responsibility. But it was during this assignment that I received some very unexpected personal news. Excuse me. I was told Stillwell. I was told that I had a serious case of cancer, but that I had a 55% chance of surviving. That was supposed to make me feel better. Well, I'm here today. I did survive. But I think that fast forward now to 2000, November 2000. I had another unexpected challenge. I lost my re-election effort for district attorney. It was professionally and personally very embarrassing. I was in effect being kicked out of the office where I had worked my entire professional career, 32 years. Now I had to decide what to do with the rest of my life. Believe me, you wouldn't see me today if I had continued being an elected official or had I chosen to practice in private practice. Instead, I first went to Harvard, where I was teaching at Harvard University. I was teaching a class entitled The Interaction of the Criminal Justice System, Race, Politics, and the Media. Shortly thereafter, while at Harvard, my first book, photo book, was published. About a week or two later, I received a call. It was from a professor of art. And she was on the phone and said, Mr. Garcetti, I bought the book. I want you to come and teach my class. I said, well, wait, what? You're in the art department. I'm over here. I'm talking about law and politics, things like that. I'm very comfortable. You want me to come and talk about art? She said, yes. That conversation, didn't realize it then, but I can realize it now, changed my life forever. Now, I share all this with you because I know, and you know too, you're going to have many personal successes and accomplishments, but you're also going to have many personal challenges, disappointments, and frustrations, my friends, You understand? That's simply life. The beauty is you have the ability to deal with all of those. You would not have been selected to graduate from this institution if the faculty and administrators did not believe you were a special person. You are a special person, each one of you. So when those challenges come, just remember, I can deal with this. If you are lucky enough to have a family or good friend, share those frustrations, those disappointments with each of them, or at least with one or two. You don't have to take their advice, but it's going to help you move forward. I can guarantee you that. Each of you is a very bright, confident individual. And obviously that's really good. But when you leave here, leave with a little humility. There's always going to be someone who is smarter than you out there. Always. But take your education here today. Make use of it. Believe in yourself. Now, before I finish, I want our graduates to stand one more time. Recall how I asked you to say thank you and shout it out. I'm going to ask you to do the same thing. I want this to be heard in Asia, in the Americas, in Europe, and in Africa. But this time I want you to focus on the faculty who are here and the faculty who are not here too. But the faculty at IHE, the administrators, and the staff that made your stay here so special and so memorable. So on a count of 3, shout it out, okay? 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Yeah, got it. All right. Now, have a seat. Thank you. You are about to be a very special group of people. Today you become alumni of IHE. And in the world of water, that's like saying I graduated from Harvard. No one can top that. So leave here again with that humility and confidence. But believe in yourself. Believe you can make a difference in this world. Believe you can do that. And you will make a difference. Congratulations, and my very best wishes for your success.
Thank you, Mr. Garcetti, for sharing your story with us. Ladies and gentlemen, with us today to perform a traditional dance from Nepal are Chidiebere and Vishal Dahal, 2 of our first-year students. The song is a combination of Nepalese folk, modern, and pop music.
Thank you very much. This is a kind of diversity only IHE can provide. Yesterday, we had an outstanding performance with a student. He was playing music and he is coming from Iran. Today, we have an outstanding dancing performance of 2 students from Nepal. And I think this is something what, besides the things you are learning on water, what makes this institute very special. Now, it's my pleasure and it's my honor to announce that the Institute will award Professor Jeanette Hering an honorary fellowship of IHE Delft. With this nomination, the Institute recognizes the eminent contributions Professor Jeanette Hering has made to the science of sanitary engineering and her dedication and support to the activities of IHE Delft for several years. I would like to invite Professor Maria Kennedy, Professor of Water Treatment Technology at IHE Delft, to say a few words. The floor is yours, Maria.
Thank you, Fritz. Dear Excellencies, distinguished guests, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends. Professor Dr. Jeanette Hering is an expert in biogeochemistry, sustainable water management, water treatment, and water quality. Most of these areas are very familiar to all of us here in this room, and a full summary of her career and accomplishments built around these areas of expertise would take much longer than 5 minutes. But here is an attempt to share enough for a true appreciation of her work. Professor Hering holds a PhD in oceanography from the MIT Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution Joint Program in Cambridge, and degrees in chemistry from both Harvard and Cornell. Her own research interests comprise both laboratory and field studies, and examples include the biogeochemical cycling of trace elements in natural waters, technologies for the removal of inorganic contaminants from drinking water, and the interface of science with policy and practice. I would say that's a pretty good start, but there is, of course, much more as we look now at how she has applied her expertise over the past decades. Professor Hering is currently the director of the Swiss Federal Institute of Aquatic Science and Technology, EAWAG. She is also a professor of environmental biogeochemistry at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Zurich. As well, she is a professor of environmental chemistry at the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology in Lausanne. She joined EAWAG as a postdoctoral student almost 30 years ago, and she returned as their director in 2007. Now, she oversees a staff of over 450, including about 175 researchers and 84 technical staff members. Research at EAWAG focuses on water and the water environment, which are, of course, issues close to our hearts and close to our work here at UNESCO IHE. Areas of focus include the relatively unperturbed aquatic ecosystems to fully engineered water and wastewater management systems. In addition to its research activities, under Dr. Hering's leadership, EAWAG's mandate also encompasses education and expert consulting. EAWAG now contributes to tertiary education in cooperation with degree-granting institutions, particularly its partners in the domain of the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, and they host about 150 PhD research students, all engaged in their thesis research. Before her EAWAG duties, she has held positions at the California Institute of Technology, where she was a professor and executive officer for the Laboratory of Bioengineering and Environmental Science. She also held a position at the University of California, the Department of Civil and Environmental Engineering, as a professor and an assistant professor. She is also a current member of the Swiss National Science Foundation Council, and she is a past recipient of the US National Science Foundation's Young Investigator Award and the Presidential Faculty Fellows Award. With hundreds of publications to her name, as well as several textbooks and book chapters, Professor Hering's work is truly interdisciplinary, with aspects of social sciences, humanities, and engineering sciences in many of her publications. Some of her more recent work, particularly that with a broader impact, include a recent publication on local perspectives on water, which is published in Science. Another paper on a call for synthesis of water research to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030. And another paper on do we need more research or better implementation through knowledge brokering. Professor Hering has also served as an associate editor for the journal Environmental Science and Technology, and she is currently a member of the board of reviewing editors for Science. Furthermore, she was elected as a member of the US National Academy of Engineering in 2015, and as a foreign member of the Russian Academy of Natural Sciences in 2017. In 2015, she was a recipient of the UPAC Distinguished Women in Chemistry Award. And perhaps as an encouragement to other women beginning or working in science, she tweeted earlier this year, "Today, February 11th, is the International Day of Women and Girls in Science. What about the other 364 days?" UNESCO IG is proud to add Professor Dr. Janet Hering to its list of honorary fellows and acknowledge her unique contribution to the fields of water and the environment. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor Kennedy. This is a very special moment and a very special honor for me, ladies and gentlemen, to award Professor Janet Hering the Honorary Fellowship of IHE Delft. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much to Maria Kennedy for these very kind remarks and introduction. I'm sure everybody will be relieved to know that my remarks will probably be shorter than the introduction. It's really a very, very great pleasure to take part in today's celebration. I'm greatly honored to join all of you here today. And it is really a tremendous honor to be awarded this fellowship from the IHE Delft Institute for Water Education. Thanks also to Fritz Holzwarth for his part in making this possible. I'm also very pleased to represent my home institution, the Swiss Federal Institute of Aquatic Science and Technology, which is better known by its German acronym EAWAG, Eidgenössische Technische, ETH, Eidgenössische Anstalt für Wasserversorgung, Abwasserreinigung und Gewässerschutz. The cooperation between EAWAG and IHE has a very long history, and it well predates my directorship. Really, it goes back over 2 decades. It was initiated by Alexander Zender, better known as Sasha, when he moved from Wageningen University, where your new rector will be coming from, to EAWAG to take up the directorship. Sasha, of course, is originally Swiss. And on the EAWAG side, he named liaison Tom Bosma to take this up, then Tom Gonzer, who will be retiring in just a couple of days. And now it's going to be Christoph Luthi. On the IHE side, it was initially Henk Lubertink and then Mariska Ronteltap. And I'm hoping that at least Mariska is here somewhere in the audience, but yes, here. But on her behalf, for everybody that I just named, I would like to thank them for their efforts and engagement. When I joined EAWAG in 2007, the cooperation entered a new phase, and it was actually stimulated by a suggestion from one of my senior colleagues, Ole Seehausen. Ole had been doing work for many years in Lake Victoria in Africa on cichlid fishes, and he said, wouldn't it be nice if EAWAG could have a scholarship program for students to make short visits coming from developing countries? And by the way, I would like one of those fellowships for one of my students. And I said, Ole, this is a fantastic idea. Yes, we're going to have a program like this. No, you cannot have a fellowship. So we started a program because I feel it's very important that everybody has access to resources and not just the one person who happens to ask. We started the EAWAG Partnership Program. We called it EPP. And a very central aspect of that program was the agreement that we already had in place with IHE that researchers from EAWAG would help to supervise projects being done by IHE master students. And so for many years, the IHE master students have been coming to EAWAG in Switzerland to do some of their work and also in their home countries. Another key development was that Linda Strandi joined EAWAG in 2010 as a tenure-track research group leader, and she succeeded Dulai Kone, who's now actually at the Bill Melinda Gates Foundation. And one of the things she sort of inherited was this book project on fecal sludge management. So she's working on this book, and then all of a sudden it turns out that some of the IHE colleagues are also thinking about a book on fecal sludge management. They decided to combine forces. And in 2014, the fecal sludge management book, edited by Linda Strandi, Mariska Roltentop, and Damir Brojanovic, was released by IWA Publishing and made available for free download of the PDF files. Now, any of you who know anything about IWA Publishing realize that this is a huge accomplishment, that they would allow free downloads of this material. The FSM book is the basis for a MOOC, a massive open online course that Linda is offering. It's going to start in just a couple of weeks. It's part of the EAWAG EPFL MOOC series on topics in WASH. And this FSM MOOC will then be part of the preparatory material used in the new IHE Master's course, in which the EAWAG researchers will also be participating. So I think this is a really nice example of a sort of spiral of activities that builds on itself and grows, and is really a nice example of the cooperation between EAWAG and IHE. And through this cooperation, the two institutions have been able to leverage their complementary strengths and resources to accomplish more together than either institution could do separately. And I think it's also important that this was done in a way that recognizes and acknowledges the contributions of all the individuals involved and also the institutions that support them. I think we all realize in this era of indicators that it's very important to acknowledge people's contributions. I'd like to conclude with a very short reflection on the need for even more cooperation in the future. As we all know, the world faces many, many challenges, and you graduates, when you return to your home countries, will be faced with that reality. Those challenges have been extremely well articulated in the Sustainable Development Goals. I'm losing my hat. And for the IHE and EAWAG, the SDG 6 on water is, of course, one of the central ones. It may seem very daunting to accomplish the Sustainable Development Goals. Even SDG 6 by itself, let alone all the SDGs in combination. But I truly believe that we have the resources that we need to do this. The world has never had so much wealth. At our collective resources, at our collective disposal, we have enormous material resources. We also have a vast and ever-growing accumulation of knowledge, and this knowledge is the product of societal investment across cultures and throughout the entire history of humankind. We also have something new, and Maria alluded to this. New in the history of civilization. For the first time across the world, not just in one little hotspot, one country or another, but across the world, we are entering an era of full participation of women in society. Women and girls have equal access to education. We see some of you here today. Congratulations. Women are gaining full self-determination, and that includes control over fertility, a really critical point. And we are participating in society at all levels, including the leadership. I am truly optimistic that with this greater participation of women, we will expand cooperation, we will improve the prospects of humanity, and we will protect our shared planetary home. I look forward to working together with IHE toward this goal, and I look forward to working with all of you, perhaps someday when you return to your home countries. Congratulations again.
Thank you very much for your inspiring words, and I hope we find points that we really can catch up with what you proposed. To catch up with one of the last thoughts of Janet Hering, I think it's a kind of logic that I now ask Dr. Nnebuo Magole to come to the floor from Waternet and University of Botswana, because I think this is also a clear signal and a clear visibility. To take over leadership is not something special in the Northern Hemisphere. I think we have well-educated and developed females. They are able to take over leadership. And we are very interested about your message, Nnebuo. Please.
Thank you very much. Greetings to all dignitaries that are present here, Your Excellencies, special guests, professors, colleagues and students, ladies and gentlemen, and a special greeting to the graduates of today. I am very honored to have been invited here, and I decided that when I was asked to speak, that I will just give you a summary of my story. So I'll add to the stories that were given by the keynote speaker. My story is going to be the third story. He gave us 2 stories from Kenya and his own story. And in the next 3 minutes, you'll be glad to know I will give you my story. My name, I have been introduced, is Dr. Mrs. Lapologang Magole. Like you, I've had a remarkable life journey that was full of remarkable moments. I was born Lapologang Rasisigo 50 years ago in a village in the eastern part of Botswana where the train does not pass. At that time, the railway was the only sure sign of development and access to better facilities, including educational facilities. I was born to a visionary single mother who moved to the capital city to clean people's houses in order to educate her 3 children, of whom I was the firstborn and had 2 younger brothers. In my journey, like I have said, and maybe like I heard yesterday about IHE Delft, I have changed my names twice, and I have added titles twice. I changed my surname and added a title by choice when I got married. I changed my nickname from Lapo, which is what all my friends and all the people in my village called me, to Ma'aone when I had my twins. I added the DR when I got my PhD. These were life-changing moments along my journey, and they impacted me a great deal. I was my mother's project since birth. Many times people ask me, why did you do a PhD? I tell them it's my mother's project. She woke me up gently to go to school in primary school. She pulled and threw my blankets off my back to wake me up to go to secondary school. She leaned over the door of my room and asked me, do you have any lessons today when I was at university? She sent me an occasional letter to ask how my studies were going when I studied abroad. And note, I said she sent a letter. At that time, there was no WhatsApp, there was no email, there was no Twitter and the other likes. So she had to write a letter, and it took 2 weeks for that letter to reach me. As I stand here, I have a first degree in environmental science and economics from the University of Botswana, a master in urban and regional planning from the University of Manitoba in Canada, and a PhD in development studies from the University of East Anglia in UK. As you can see, and like you, I'm a citizen of the world, and I have been educated by the world. Therefore, I believe the world has expectations on us. I think it's a Chinese saying, I'm not sure, but I think it is a Chinese saying, if you plan for 1 year, plant rice. If you plan for 10 years, plant trees. If your plan is for 100 years, educate children. Therefore, it means that education is a vision, and you are part of that vision. It does not only have a long-term impact, but it also has a multiplier or a ripple effect. But then it depends on what you do with it. The multiplier effect, the impact does not just come automatically. Please note that your professors have done their bit. They have participated in the project, whoever the project belongs to. Today, you will be certificated. And as we say in my language, your professors will wash their hands. This is not the same as education. Being certificated is not the same as education. Education is deeper and lifelong. It has been taking place alongside your acquiring your certificates. However, evidence of your education is what you will do with this certificate. So, I entitled my message, which is about to end, my life journey, being the captain of my ship. Therefore, from today, you, the graduates of today, will become the captain. You will steer the ship in the direction you wish it to go. You decide your legacy. Back to me. Since I finished my school, my mother does not ask questions anymore. Like, do you have any lesson today? Or she's not throwing the blankets off my back. But I tell her what is happening. I told her when I got confirmed as a lecturer at the University of Botswana. I told her when I got a position as a research scholar at the Okavango Research Institute. I told her when I had enough publications and professional service to be promoted to a senior scholar at the Institute. I told her when I was invited to serve in several prestigious professional boards and bodies and national planning teams. I told her when I was elected into the Waternet board. I told her when I was elected to chair the Waternet board. I told her when my first book came out early this year. She will be the first to know when I become a professor in not too long distant a future. This is my journey, and it continues. The main thing about my journey has been focus. Focus on what my contribution to humanity can be, on searching how I can continue to grow and learn beyond the certificates. And I found service to be rewarding and educating. As an African woman, I say what the Africans say. If you aim to finish the journey fast, walk it alone. If you want to experience and learn from the journey, walk with others. Congratulations, IHE Delft graduating class of 2017. The best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Magole, for sharing your journey with us, and thank you to your mother. I would now like to invite to the stage our two student representatives. Unfortunately, Ms. Yomna could not be here today. Taking her place... Oh, you're here after all. Oh, well, I'm glad you could be here. Taking her place is Ms. Viviana Vergolem from Brazil. And we also have Mr. Chidi Nnebuo from Nigeria. Chidi is also former chairperson of the Student Association Board. They will share their reflections with the graduating students. Please give them a warm welcome.
All right. You know what? I'm so happy, but I just don't know how to start. But I knew I have to start. All right. Dear Rector, professors, lecturers, non-academic staff, invited guests, families and friends, colleagues, importantly, the latest graduates of IHE Delft. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. It is an honor for us to represent 120 MSc graduates from over 43 to 50 nationalities. We lack words to express the inestimable joy in our hearts. October 2015, on our arrival, it seemed a very long journey. Today, class of 2017 are the latest graduates of IHE Delft, the largest global water institute. Our experiences could be summed up in the paraphrased words of Julius Caesar. We came, we saw, and we conquered. 18 months ago, we all traveled several hundreds of miles to come to the Netherlands. Some had almost a day trip to get to Delft, others arriving at a later time. There was warm reception for everyone starting from the airport by the IHE family. The first week were replete with different activities about the Dutch culture, the tradition, trying out stroopwafel, bitterballen, poffertjes. If I don't get the pronunciation, just forgive me. And my favorite kibbeling with mayonnaise sauce. The last day of welcome activity is always fresh in our mind. The outing with especially the traditional Dutch dancers with their love stories.
However, the exciting love stories associated with the welcome activities were short-lived. The first few weeks of lectures ushered us into the challenging life of studying in IHE Delft. The stress and pace of lectures, week in and week out, made us doubt if the love stories we heard were even real. It was obvious by the third module that it would be a long ride. Of course, understanding the loads of new concepts and principles being churned out to us per second was not a problem. The big question was whether we could assimilate it within the allotted time. Settling into life at Delft was not that simple. It was almost like a module to pass for us to understand about the Netherlands weather. Sunshine and rain swap interchangeably like they are inseparable twins. Beyond the hurdles of understanding and passing the modules was the adapting to the Dutch culture, where things are said bluntly. The Dutch culture of keeping to time and having a flat tire as an excuse for being late to appointments were all part of the culture to learn. There were lots of learning about colleagues from other culture, race, religion, and their respective languages. There was a lot of opportunities to eat foods from different places, regions, and we met colleagues in IHE from parts of the world we might not even have the opportunity to meet in a lifetime, like from Mongolia, Samoa, and Bhutan. Despite the different nationalities, regions, languages, culture, faith, we all had a common connector: water.
As we moved from module to module, the dream of having the amount and the stress of work done being reduced as we got higher became an illusion, as they were all mirage. In order to avoid getting a PhD with an MSc effort, we resorted to create fun for ourselves. Mind you, the PhD here means permanent head damage. We cannot forget our dear hostel, Mina Christimanstrat, the headquarters of all kinds of partying. A colleague once said, Mina looks like a hospital. Maybe. He was right. It helps to prevent us from having the colossal PhD. In a bid to ease the stress and show that the class of 2017 are complete in all aspects, we engage in sports and other activities. In the history of IHE Delft, class of 2017 hold the highest participation of 150 students participating in a sports competition. We could not be involved in International Sports Day in 2016 because of our international field trip. Hence, IHE lost the overall trophy. Despite the thesis demands, we doggedly worked hard and returned the trophy back to IHE in April 2017, of course, with the help of the first-year students. The spunk, the resilience, the perseverance, the tenacity, and the unflinching desire of class of 2017 are seen in our academic prowess and ingenuity. Class of 2017 are not only blessed with scholars, but also with great leaders with creativity.
The Student Association Board of Class 2017 organized the best welcome of new students in history of IHE Delft. This was only possible because of the united efforts and support of Class 2017. We want to appreciate Chidi, Santosh, Gupta, and David for their selfless leadership duties in the board. The last 18 months has seen us being equipped with latest tools, techniques, concepts, and technologies, and most importantly, ingenuity to think out sustainable solutions for water-related problems at our home countries. We must not spurn this opportunity that we have. The years ahead are going to test our ingenuity. As Oprah Winfrey said, that education is a screw to unlocking the world. But I tell you that the world of water problems we are to unlock is changing with climatic conditions. We must reinvent the education we have received to be able to create lasting solutions. Do not return to your home countries and maintain status quo. Make a change. In Ralph Waldo Emerson's idea, do not go where the trail may lead to unusual practice. Rather, go where there is no path and leave a pathway of change.
I want to say a special thanks to the IHE community, the Rectorate, the professors, lecturers, non-academic staff for their support during this period. We appreciate the different organizations that funded our studies like the NFP, Rotary, World Bank, etc. for this great opportunity. To our sociocultural office staff, Arno, Sylvia and Mario in absent, Ellen, Gina and Ellen for your support to the participants. We cannot forget our families, our loved ones who have always been supporting us with their good wishes and prayers. Lastly, we cannot forget to thank God Almighty for His help and strength to complete this academic pursuit. Finally, dear colleagues, after achieving this academic feat with great resilience and hard work, let's be the change we want to make in our various capacities and home countries. Congratulations, class of 2017.
Thank you both. I like what you said about the Dutch weather being so unpredictable, although today we seem to be lucky so far. It's almost time to begin the awarding ceremony, but first we would like to ask for everyone's help. We know that once you receive your diploma, it will be tempting to start your celebration straight away. But we kindly ask that you quietly return to your seat out of respect for those receiving their diplomas after you. We would also like to ask all of our guests to remain seated until every graduate has received his or her diploma. There will be plenty of time for congratulating and taking photos during the reception immediately following the ceremony here in the church. Also, the professional photographer will take a photo of each graduate. These photos will be distributed this evening at IHE, so don't leave the party without your photo. Once everyone has received his or her diploma, we will all stand while the professors proceed out. After that, the photographer will take a picture of all the graduates waving their tubes. So those in the back can come to the front and we'll take a nice group picture. All students and guests are welcome here in the church for the reception before returning to IHE for dinner and the farewell party. Graduating students, remember to take good care of your diploma during the festivities today and always. Store it in a safe place because it cannot be replaced. Every year at the closing ceremony, we like to highlight one of the sponsors of our many fellowships. 2 years ago, it was Rotary International, and last year, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. This year is the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. In our graduating class, we have 4 students who received SIDS fellowships. SIDS stands for Small Island Development States. Here today to tell us more about this program is Karin Roelofs from DGIS, the Directorate General for International Cooperation, part of the Dutch Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Ms. Roelofs, welcome.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, dear students, I'm very pleased and honored to speak to the first 4 master students from the Special Training Program for the Small Island Development States. In August 2015, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs decided to fund this program for 2 reasons. Firstly, because the SIDS are considered important partners in the climate negotiations. Like Europe, the SIDS are pushing for high reduction targets in order to limit global warming to 2 degrees, possibly 1.5 degrees Celsius. Secondly, although the SIDS didn't contribute to climate change, they are generally considered highly vulnerable, not only because of physical factors like sea level rise and incidence of cyclones, but also because of their small size, remoteness, and narrow resource base. When you talk about climate change and adaptation, you talk about the need for improved water management. Due to climate change, droughts, floods, and erratic rainfall patterns becoming more common and more extreme, water management is therefore one of the key challenges of adaptation to climate change. With our funding of a total of 25 students following an MSc course at IHE Delft, another 70 students followed a short course. I trust your studies at IHE will provide a sound basis to work on important issues related to water and climate change in your countries. I wish you lots of success, all the best, and I hope that Delft and Holland will always have a special place in your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Roelofs. Now, the moment you have all been waiting for, the awarding of the diplomas. We will start with the 4 SID students. I would like to call to the stage those professors and mentors presenting the diplomas to the 4 students with SIDS fellowships. Professor Zwarteveen and Elias Massi, Professor Roelvink and Johan Rijns, Professor Solomartin and Gerald Corzo, Professor Thyssen and Erik de Ruiter. Yeah? Okay. Now just the first 2, Professor Zwarteveen and Elias Massi. Yeah? You can come back here. You ready? Okay. Mr. Singh from Fiji. Johan, you can take a place in front, and I'll call your students. Ms. Bess from Guyana, with distinction. Yeah? Miss Conway from Guyana. And Ms. Meredith from Samoa. And I would like to invite Professor van Hullebosch to join us now. We will continue with the awarding of the environmental science students. We will start with the environmental science and technology specialization. Mr. Lubaba from Zambia. Ms. Heriati from Indonesia. Mr. Makapa from the United Republic of Tanzania. Mr. Tashome from Ethiopia. Mr. Pathak from India. Mr. Mata Hinke from Zimbabwe. Mr. Centaur from Sri Lanka with distinction. Thank you, Professor van Hullebosch. I now call to the stage Professor Tisse. We continue with the Environmental Planning and Management specialization. Mr. Kwarteng from Ghana. Mr. Merto from Ethiopia. Ms. Sigdal from Nepal. Ms. Maryanti from Indonesia. Ms. Dorsereng from Mongolia. Mr. Natare from Rwanda. Thank you, Professor Thyssen. I now invite Professor Irvine to the stage. We will continue with the Limnology and Wetland Management specialization. Mr. Giuessi from Benin. And Mr. Islam from Bangladesh. Thank you, Eric and Professor Irvine. This brings us to the Urban Water and Sanitation Program. I would first like to ask the Deputy Coordinator, Martin Mulenga, to the stage, and Professor Brovjanovic. The Sanitary Engineering Specialization. Mr. Gregory Kipnis from Brazil. Mr. Triputra from Indonesia. Ms. Bettinelli from Uruguay with distinction. Ms. Piaggio from Uruguay. Ms. Rodriguez Vergolim from Brazil. Mr. Mohammed from Sudan. Mr. Yakana from Uganda. Mr. Garakahali Sidaya from India. Mr. Rolda from Ethiopia. Ms. Matabana from South Africa. And now, the SC Cali specialization. Mr. Martinez Arocena from Uruguay with distinction. Ms. Visca Palermo from Uruguay. Ms. Dominiquez Sijanowiski from Uruguay. Thank you, Professor Brjanovic. I now call to the stage Professor Kennedy for the Water Supply and Engineering specialization. Ms. Sitompo from Indonesia. Mr. Mohammed from Kenya. Ms. Isidoro from Mozambique. Ms. Sitole from South Africa. Mr. Al-Haj from Sudan. Mr. Herianto from Indonesia. Ms. Mukwa from South Africa. Ms. Mupaleli from South Africa. Mr. Nnebuo from Nigeria. Thank you, Martin and Professor Kennedy. This brings us to the water management. I would first like to request to the stage Ilyas Mossi, coordinator, and Professor Zwarteveen. Mr. Wambugu from Kenya. Ms. Sakari from India. Mr. Corbin from Canada. Ms. Arteaga Carrera from Colombia. Ms. Bekele from Ethiopia. Ms. Humphreys from the United States. And Mr. Rush from the United States. Now the water conflict management specialization. Ms. Elsharony from Egypt. Ms. Bintang from Indonesia. Mr. Chitata from Zimbabwe. Water Services Management. Mr. Soraya, Indonesia. Mr. Raharjo, Indonesia. Ms. Wistiani, Indonesia. Thank you, Professor Zwarteveen and Ilias. I now call to the stage Professor van der Zaag and Michelle Kooi. We will continue with the water quality management specialization. Ms. Afriani, Indonesia. Mr. Balegu, United Republic of Tanzania. Water Resources Management, Mr. Denny, Indonesia. Mr. Orabi, Egypt. Mr. Yoshi, India. Mr. Yusa, Malawi. Mr. Ahmed, Pakistan. Mr. Shagaya, Ethiopia. Mr. Obolo, Kenya. Mr. Aqua Swansea, Ghana. Thank you, Professor van der Zaag and Michelle. We have arrived at the awarding of the Water Science and Engineering students. Would Johan Reins, as coordinator, and Professor Roelofs please join me on the stage for the Coastal Engineering and Port Development graduates. Mr. Wicaksono, Indonesia. Mr. Lashley from Barbados with distinction. Mr. Lay from Vietnam. Thank you, Professor Roelofs. I would like to ask Professor van der Meer to join me on stage. Mr. Mukhtiar, Indonesia. Mr. Vijaya Manap, Indonesia. Mr. Soto Reyes, Panama. Mr. Akbar, Indonesia. Thank you, Professor van der Meer. I would now like to ask Professor Rana Singh to join us. Mr. De La Hoz Navarro from Colombia. Mr. Fitra, Indonesia. Ms. Wulandari from Indonesia with distinction. Thank you, Professor Rana Singh and Johan. Now it's time for hydraulic engineering and river basin development. Would Alessandro Catapan and Professor Zevenbergen please join us? Oh. Mr. Rahman, Bangladesh. Mr. Tripathi, Nepal. Mr. Bonilla Porras from Mexico with distinction. Ms. Koden from Bhutan. Mr. Kunkwensu from Malawi. Ms. Demeke from Ethiopia. Mr. Tapa Magar from Nepal. Ms. Shrestha from Nepal. Mr. Lee from the United States with distinction. Mr. Zolfan from Indonesia. Thank you, Alessandro and Professor Zevenbergen. Would Gerald Corso and Professor Solomotine please join us for Hydroinformatics, Modeling and Information Systems for Water Management. Mr. Casson from Canada with distinction. Mr. Wambugu from Kenya. Mr. Hageltum from Sudan. Ms. Emanuele Gandara from Uruguay. Mr. Suardi Virianto from Indonesia. Mr. Valles Leon from El Salvador. Ms. Gebra Medine from Ethiopia. Mr. Moore from Nepal with distinction. Mr. Nespeka from Italy. Mr. Yao from Singapore with distinction. And now, Hydroinformatics, Specialization, OHI. Mr. Xiaopeng, China. Ms. Hulu Wang, China. Ms. Yuang, China. Ms. Han Wang, China. Ms. Q, China. Ms. Ge, China. Thank you, Gerald and Professor Solomatine. Would Jochen Wenninger and Professor McLean please join us for hydrology and water resources? Mr. Mondwandwa, Zimbabwe. Mr. Aliyu, Nigeria. Mr. Thapa, Nepal. Mr. Haider, Bangladesh. Mr. Hewa Ranawaka Arachichiga, Sri Lanka. Mr. Gomez Dueñas, Colombia. Mr. Maunga, Kenya. Mr. Wekesa from Kenya with distinction. Mr. Okoromak from Uganda. Mr. Bukoye from Nigeria. Mr. Nasseri from Afghanistan. Mr. Bugingo from Rwanda. Ms. Magole from Kenya. Mr. Ugay from the Philippines. Thank you, Jochen and Professor McLean. Finally, the Land and Water Development for Food Security Specialization. Would Annelieke Doeker and Professor de Fritz please join me on stage? Mr. Mamba, Swaziland. Mr. Kamara, Gambia. Mr. Malope, Zimbabwe. Mr. Kalua, Malawi. Mr. Nnegwabe, Kenya. Mr. Yilma, Ethiopia. Mr. Bet, Kenya. Ms. Kavlo, United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you, Annelieke and Professor de Fritz. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the awarding of the diplomas. My dear graduates, congratulations. At this time, I would like to introduce the IHE Delft Choir, performing today in public for the first time as the professors leave. We have distributed copies of their song for you. The song is called The Climb because we all have our own mountains to climb. This concludes the 2017 closing ceremony. Thank you. Please stand for the procession.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Testing, 1, 2.
Testing, 1, 2.
Excuse me. Okay. I just need...
can almost see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it.
Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying, gotta keep my head held high. There's always gonna be another mountain, I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle, sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. And about how fast I get there, and about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Oh, there's always gonna be another mountain, I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle, sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. And about how fast I get there, and about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Those struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but no, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most, yeah. Just gotta keep going and I gotta be strong. Just keep pushing on. There's always gonna be another mountain, I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle, sometimes you're gonna have to lose. And about how fast I get there, and about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. Hey, there's always gonna be another mountain, I'm always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle, sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. And about how fast I get there, and about what's on the other side.
Okay. Graduates, you ready? The ones in the back, please come forward and fill in the area in front here. I don't want to see any brown here. Come fill it in.